Welcome back, everybody. It's a Monday. It is June 5th. He is Derek Gunn. I am Rob Ellis. We're hanging out with you. We're Sports Take. Let's smash the like button, friends, if we could. Let's get on a little run. We haven't been on a like button run in a while, so let's get on it today if we could. And we do appreciate each and every one of you guys hanging out via the chat, streaming, listening. I love the fact that you guys go back and watch us, and we are very cognizant of that, and we appreciate it. That's for sure. But Gunnar, let's keep the Eagles talk going. We were discussing this, a little bit earlier when you and I did our pre-show meeting regarding the most indispensable Eagles. Now, look, be real about this. Number one on everybody's list is Jalen Hurts. Okay, we will grant that. We'll concede that. You lose Jalen Hurts, we know this thing goes into the abyss really quick. And that applies to virtually every starting quarterback in the league. I mean, all you're hoping is it's short term, like it was last year, when he injured the shoulder, and you can just navigate the waters. Fortunately for the Eagles, and to their credit, they built up a ton of equity. They were able to maintain and kind of get through it and survive, even though you did have to bring back Jalen for that last game when he still wasn't 100%.
Yep.
But you ended up winning it, and he had just a great year. I mean, 3,700 yards passing, 22 touchdowns, just 6 interceptions, completion percentage almost 67, 101.6 passer rating, rushed for 760 yards, and add 13 more touchdowns onto that to get the grand total of 35. Runner-up MVP, on and on and on. I mean, what else is there really to say? I would say if there's one thing that I want to see from him, Derek, and I always ask our guests this too, but if there's one thing if you're asking me, I just want to see him continue to develop as a passer. That doesn't mean he wasn't a good passer last year because he developed in leaps and bounds. That's all I want. I know he can run. I know what a magician he is with his legs. Just keep getting better in the passing game and understanding concepts and progressions better. But the leap he took from year 2 to year 3 was insane, and I expect him to just get better and better.
Yeah. No question about it. And now, we hear Sirianni talking about the playbook will expand even more so. What does that entail? Can't wait to see that. Jalen has spent the offseason looking at all the tape, looking at the little mechanics and saying, I can do this better. Everything we hear about Jalen Hurts is he doesn't settle for what he's done. He's always looking to add something else to his repertoire. So I expect to see that as well. The one thing I hope he really does is run less and deliver the ball more to his pass catchers and backs and let them do the job that they're supposed to do. Keep Jalen upright and breathing for 17 games. I don't want to see it get to a point where he has to miss another game because of a shoulder, an elbow, or a knee or something like that. Mm-hmm. Keep him upright and breathing. He's going to run when he has to run, and they're going to be designed running plays called for him. I just hope they reduce the number of those potential elements of his game to keep him in the pocket or floating to the outside, buying time, and then getting the ball down the field to his pass catchers.
Yep. Well said. Well said. I'm with you. All right. So if we all grant that's one, okay. So we'll move on from that. You want me to work my way up? You want to go first? You want me to go first? How do you want to do it? I'll go 10 to 1 or 10 to 2.
Well, look, we take one out of the equation because we both agree Jalen Hurts is number 1.
Yes.
So technically, we're either going 2 through 10 or 10 through 2.
Okay. This is that Barrett used to always. But what are we doing? We go 1 to 10. We go 10 to 1. He would always go crazy with that. But why don't we go? Let's go 10. Let's work our way up.
Yeah, okay. Right. Tone said we should alternate. So
let's alternate.
Well, we'll go each number, and I'll put who I put at number 10. You put who you at number 10 as well. So
you go first. You got it. You go.
You 10. Want me to go?
Yes.
Are we going? All right. Are we going 10 through 2 or 2 through 10? Which one?
10 through 2. We're going to work up.
So my number 10 would be Darius Slay.
Okay.
Darius Slay started out like gangbusters in the first half of the season. You shut down. All of a sudden, he got out of character the latter half of the season, and he became somewhat of a suspect in his overall pass coverage and tackling, for that matter. Yeah. I do believe you cannot afford to lose a Darius Slay on the outside of your defense, but I put him in at number 10. He's a proven veteran. He's 32 years old now.
Yeah.
He knows what he needs to do to be ready. Does he still have the it factor to be dominant more so than just a half a season?
I mean,
Don't
Derek, he
know
was
that
almost
at
out
this
of
stage.
here, man. He
Yeah.
was almost out of here.
Yeah. Don't know that. So he checks into my number 10.
Okay. All right. I'll go. My number 10 is Josh Sweat.
Okay.
Talk about a guy who finally, I thought, broke through, and really showed you the promise that he had. The Eagles extended him. They believed in him. And the production was okay. It wasn't terrible, but it was okay. But I thought last year was the year that he showed you who he is. And 11 sacks last year. He had 15 tackles for losses. He was an impact kind of guy last year. Some say I might have him too low on this list, but I'm going to put him at 10 right now. I think he is critical to the team because let's face it, when you lose Hargrave, as many sack artists as you can keep around, you need, and Josh Sweat is one of those guys.
I agree with you 100%.
Okay. All right. That's my 10. And what we're doing, if you're just hopping on, it's our most indispensable Eagles. Okay. The guys you can least afford to lose. All right. Who's your 9?
My number 9 would be Dallas Goedert.
Okay.
Because look at the 5 games he missed last year.
Mm-hmm.
And you saw a drastic drop off in the play from the tight end. There were bits and pieces. They had to mix and match between Stoll and Calcaterra. One was a blocker, one was a pass catcher. It wasn't a blocker. Dallas Goedert gives you that complete tight end in terms of blocking ability and separating and finding open spaces and holes in defenses. I do believe Dallas would have gotten over 900 receiving yards if he had not missed those 5 games last year. I think he's an invaluable part of that offense. He is Jalen Hurts' safety valve, no question about it. They cannot afford to lose him because as we look at the roster right now, they don't have anybody comes close to him in terms of being a complete tight end, a number 2 complete tight end.
You know what? I will say this right now. First of all, great choice. And I love the way you broke it down and you're dead on. Let's face it, the Jack Stolls of the world and Calcaterra and Tyree Jackson, all due respect to those guys, there's a big fall off after Dallas Goedert.
Yep.
There is a big fall off. I dropped the ball and I don't have him on my top 10 list.
Okay, whoa!
I will.
Whoa.
I'm self-reporting. I'm like one of those college programs that is telling the NCAA.
Turning yourself in.
Yes. So anyway, I screwed up that one, but I'll move on. See, we can admit our mistakes, Derek. It's okay. It's
all right. It's okay.
All right. I went with Fletcher Cox at number 9.
Okay, Cox.
And I know people are kind of like, they overpaid again for him, blah, blah, blah. You need him this year. Not, if you think about it, when you lose Hargrave and you're young at that spot, you're talking about Milton Williams, Jalen Carter, and Jordan Davis. You're young there. You need a veteran presence. And he still had 7 sacks last year, which at the defensive tackle position is darn good. So I know that a lot of Eagles fans are kind of over it and they're sort of done with Fletcher Cox.
Right.
I think he's very important to this team. So I am going to have him on there simply because we have a lot of unknowns that we're discussing here when it comes to that position. We don't know what's going to happen. I like Jalen Carter a lot. I think the kid's going to be awesome, but we don't know ultimately. He's playing in the NFL now. This isn't college anymore. So I'm going to go Fletcher Cox at my number 9.
I look at Fletcher Cox and he frustrates a lot of people over the last several years because he shows up for one game and then he's like a no-show. And I understand in the scheme that Jonathan Gannon had him playing in, Fletcher Cox was required to do a lot of the little dirty stuff that doesn't show up in stats that allowed other people around him to have shining moments, so to speak. But at this stage of his career, I don't know how much better, if any, Fletcher Cox can be at this point. Not to say he can't be good at what he does and continue to be good at what he does, but Fletcher didn't even make my list when it came to the 10 most indispensable Eagles on this team.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Where do you go at number 8? Now, give us. So far you have. Give us your 10.
I have Slay at 10 and Goddard at 9.
Very good. Okay. Who's your 8?
Number 8 would be Devonta Smith. Mm-hmm. The way he came on his rookie year, he had almost 1,000 yards, easily surpassed that last year. That young man is tough as nails. Not the biggest body, not the most physical body, but an excellent route runner, great hands, makes the acrobatic catches. Yep. And no matter how many times secondary personnel try to lay the lumber on this kid, and they did a number of times when it makes you go, oh, he got up and kept on ticking. He
Super
didn't
Bowl.
miss anything.
Great examples of Super
Oh
Bowl.
my goodness. That outside pass he caught where he went down the sideline, got blasted on the sideline, and got up and kept on ticking. This young man is tough as nails, both mentally and physically. So I check him in as my number 8 most important Eagle.
That's a good one. And just getting better. You know,
Yes.
That's the other thing with him. Just getting better, entering his 3rd year. Good one. I go James Bradbury at 8.
Okay.
I love what kind of year he had last year. He had something to prove. He was on a 1-year deal. He was underpaid. He wanted to show the league. He wanted to show the Giants that it wasn't necessarily him. He was in a bad situation. And he came in here and frankly was more consistent than Slay was all year. He had an excellent year for them. And I thought he was out the door. I didn't think there's any way he was going to come back. And the Eagles, and to Howie's credit, figured out a way to get him here. But I'm going to plug him in right there at number 8, man. I think he's huge. And, the fact that you have a duo like Slay and Bradbury that can – most teams now, Derek, have 2 killers at the receiver spot. It's the old days where you just have 1 stud are long gone. And most teams have at least 2. So you need 2 legits on the outside who you don't have to always give a ton of help to. And Bradbury fits that bill for me.
Oh, there's no question about it. And when you look at the cornerback situation, both cornerbacks, the Eagles cannot afford to lose either cornerback.
Yep.
I like Avonte Maddox, but he's too small to play on the outside. He's perfect where he is in the slot corner. Mm-hmm. But every time they put him on the outside, he gets exposed a little bit because of his lack of height.
Yeah.
You cannot criticize him for his tenacity, for his quick twitch, his tackling ability, but he loses a lot of battles on the outside because he's going against guys 6'2", 6'4", 6'5". And that's not a knock against him. Avonte Maddox could play in my secondary in any way, shape, or form. It's just that you have to find the perfect role for him to excel in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt. All right, so far I've gone Sweat, Fletcher Cox, Bradbury. I'm gonna go with his running mate right here at 7. It's Darius Slay. For all the stuff that you laid out earlier, there's not much more I can add, but all I want from him is just more consistency. I want him to be better than he was for the last 7-8 games. And let's not forget, really, both of these guys, some boneheaded stuff in the Super Bowl, man. To get burned twice by that same play. And I know everybody wants to dump it on Gannon, but those guys are veteran corners. They need to recognize that and be better. So hopefully they'll both be better, when it comes to that. So I'm going to go with number 7, Darius Slay. All right, you're up to 6 now.
Okay, wait, now I have to give my number 7.
Also. Oh, I'm sorry. You didn't give 7. I apologize. Yeah, go ahead. Give
my number 7, it has to be A.J. Brown. Mm-hmm. You knew the chemistry between these two. You heard the stories about how they feel about each other, how long they've known each other. This guy, when you look at the best pass catchers in the NFL, they were around 100 receptions last year. Right. A.J. Brown had 88 catches, and he just missed 1,500 receiving yards by 4 yards. He averaged 17 yards per catch. He had 11 touchdowns with 88 catches. What would he have had if he had 100 catches? Now, that's only 12 more catches, but that's huge. He would have probably had over 1,600 yards receiving, and who knows, probably another couple of touchdowns as well.
What a first year.
I'm telling you. And you could tell right away that as much as Jalen loves Devontae Smith, AJ is his go-to guy. There's no question about it. I
agree.
And AJ basically is unstoppable on that quick slant route. And once he catches the ball, his strength after the catch, he picked up 548 yards after the catch.
So that's his greatest strength. Yeah, it's his greatest strength for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I put A.J. Brown at number 7.
Okay. Good choice. Really good. Yeah, he was awesome. He was yet another one of those guys who was hyped when they made the trade, gave him the big deal, and he more than lived up to it. It's funny. Guess what my number 6 is? A.J.
Who's
Brown.
your number 6?
A.J. Brown.
Who? Okay.
Yeah, AJ is. I mean, there's something to be said for chemistry, for trust, and it's obvious that the kind of trust that Jalen Hurts has for this guy. Because I remember a couple times, one of them may have been the Pittsburgh game, twice I think actually. He was double covered, and Jalen just threw it up and let AJ Brown make a play, and he did. You're right. The numbers were just incredible. 88 catches, 145 targets.
Right.
almost 1,500 yards, 17 yards per catch is a lot of yards per catch for a guy who isn't a burner. You know what I mean? Like a lot of
Yes.
times your speed merchant is going to have a crazy yards per catch because he's catching 70-yard bombs. AJ, a lot of it is run after catch because he's built like a bowling ball and, kind of like a running back. And that just shows you how tough he is. So yeah, I'm with you. I concur. I think he is so huge for this team. So yeah, I have him at number 6 on my list.
Number 6 for me would be Bradbury. The fact that the Eagles got him to come back and got him to come back at a lower number than a lot of people thought he would get on the open market. Kudos to Howie Roseman. I think he was consistently from start to finish much better than Darius Slay. Darius Slay had a great first half. James Bradbury had a consistent season all season long. Mm-hmm. He only had a couple tackles for losses, but that's not his forte.
Yeah.
He had 17 passes defended. I believe he had what? He had 1 return interception for a touchdown.
He did. Detroit, right?
Yep. He had 3 INTs.
Yeah.
He had 1 return for a touchdown. I think he was rock steady on the outside for this Eagles defense. And the fact that he's coming back, and as I said, once we found out that he's signed, I truly believe this was a case of where he didn't want to just take the money and run because he could have ended up in a situation where he knew he was not going to get close to getting back to a Super Bowl. Once him and his representation realized that if the ring is as important to you as the money, Philadelphia is the best place for you to be. Look at their roster compared to some of the other offers you're getting out there. This is the most complete team as of right now. So they will pay you decently, maybe not pay you what you think you want or should get. They're paying you decently, and you have another shot to get back to the big game again to try to get rid of that bad taste in your mouth from losing to Kansas City.
Yep. Great point. Point. All right. So I'm up to number 5. I'm going Jordan Mailata.
Okay.
Well, when you're talking about a left tackle in the NFL for a right-handed quarterback, it is critical. And I know he had a couple of ups and downs last year. He was playing with the shoulder injury. He's another guy who, Derek, he's so new to the game. I just think he's going to get better and better. And he's got the right attitude. He's a hard worker. You lose him right now. You also don't have the Andre Dillard thing there where you can plug him in. So, what happens if he goes down? I'm not sure what you do there.
I don't either. I don't know if you move. I don't think you're moving Dickerson outside and plug somebody in at left guard.
Yeah.
You're right. Somebody's got to develop on that outside to be the supporting cast for Mailata. I just don't see it right now in this Eagles depth chart.
I don't either. So I'm going to go Mailata at my number 5 spot.
My number 5 spot is Jason Kelce.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Kelce is getting up there in age, but Jason Kelce is still arguably the best center in the National Football League. He, to me, the smartest center. This guy can still get downfield to the second and third levels and make key blocks to extend running plays. I think he's the one who sets the tone for the line. He's the motor that makes the engine run. Now you could say, well, yeah, but you can plug in Cam Jurgens and might not. Maybe so. But I guarantee you that Jeff Stoutland and Nick Sirianni will tell you one of the last people they want to lose on this team is Jason Kelce because of the value he brings in terms of experience, leadership, and ability to adjust on the fly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no question about that, man. There is no doubt about that. I'm up to 4 now, Derek. So my 10, I went Sweat, Fletcher Cox, Bradbury, Slay, AJ Brown, Mailata. So I'm at number 4, working my way up. And it's Hassan Reddick. Look, the numbers are mind-boggling, and it's one of the great free agent signings, if not the greatest the Eagles have ever made, considering the production he gave you right away. 16 sacks last year. He had 11 tackles for losses altogether, 3 passes defense. Here's the other thing. He's got a knack for forcing fumbles. He forced 5 fumbles last year and recovered 3. This dude is a ball hawk in a weird way. You usually say that about a defensive back. He's around the ball all the time. Strip sacks, whatever, recovering fumbles. He's just a good football player all around. And he just really found his niche. I think it took them a minute to figure out exactly how to use him best. But, man, when they did, he just took off.
The fact that he was able to achieve double-digit sacks with 3 different teams in 3 consecutive years tells you the type of athlete that he is. Okay. They didn't really know how to utilize him in Arizona. They gave up on him after 1 year in Carolina, and he comes here and has his best year as a professional. And that tells you that if you find out how to utilize him, and let's face it, it took Jonathan Gannon a few weeks to figure out what to do, because we debated, do you move him around? Like a lot of teams will move their best pass rusher around. Look at TJ Watt, look at Micah Parsons. They're always moving him up and down the line of scrimmage, trying to find that hole in the picket fence. And that's what the Eagles did initially early on. But then all of a sudden they said, the heck with that, leave him where he is and let him attack from that point. And once he settled in and didn't have to float around, that's when you started to see the dominance of Hassan Reddick. And by the way, we always talk about how you and I think alike in a lot of ways. Hassan Reddick is also my number 4 as well. So I was kind of chuckling when you said Reddick, because I'm sitting there going through the whole list. I can't believe we haven't hit on the same one yet. Sure
you
enough.
And I with lists, man. It's
ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. All right. 3, I'm going to go Lane Johnson, Derek.
Okay.
We saw last year, I can only think about what that would have been if that injury would have cost him the playoffs and the Super Bowl, if they would have even gotten to the Super Bowl. But if he wouldn't have been able to play in the playoffs with that torn abductor, what that might have looked like. You would have had to maybe juggle things around, plugging Dillard into that equation, moving Mailata potentially over, et cetera. It would have just thrown a lot of things, I think. I think they could have survived it, but the fact that he went through that whole injury and didn't even give up as much as a sack, I'm not sure he gave up a hurry. Maybe it was like 1 hurry and like no QB hits or no sacks, which is incredible. Yeah, any right tackle who's healthy would take that, let alone a guy, essentially playing on like 1 leg. He's just become a great football player, and I think he's a couple of, I don't know how much those suspensions early in his career are going to hurt him when it comes to this, but he's a couple more great years away from being a Hall of Famer. I think he's on that track right now.
I couldn't agree with you more. My number 3 is Mailata. What a success story Mailata has become, in terms of not even knowing how to put on a uniform to putting himself in Pro Bowl conversations. The man steps to the line of scrimmage and he blocks out the sun. He's that big, and he's very agile. And he's learning those little techniques. The thing I loved most about him was when he first started to learn to play the game, he spent a lot of time asking the likes of Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson every question he could in terms of, what do I do to get better? What little techniques do I need to learn to get an advantage? Now, to me, sometimes Mailata still gets caught coming out of a snap a little too late, and these quicker edge rushers are getting around him or getting underneath him. But for the most part, once he locks you up, you can't go anywhere with him. You can't get around him. You can't get under him. Once he extends his arms and gets in position, Mailata is one of the best in the business. Just think about this. We're talking about him now as one of the best in the business at that left tackle spot. And on the offensive line, who is a right-handed quarterback's best friend? The left tackle.
Yep.
And there aren't many great left tackles in the National Football League. And Jordan Mailata has already, still in his learning stages as a professional athlete, he has already emerged as one of the best left tackles in the game today.
Yeah, you're right. And that's a tribute to him. It's a tribute to Jeff Stoutland. It's a tribute to the Eagles development. That's one of the things we always talk about. You got to draft and develop. There's 2 D's to that thing. All right, 2, Kelsey.
Put Kelsey, okay.
Yeah, I just think about not how critical the center position is. So I always thought the center position was underrated. Like, people are like, you don't take a center in the first round. I disagree with that. I've always disagreed with that. He is calling out what he's seeing there along the defensive line in terms of the blocking schemes. It's such a cerebral position in addition to what the physical talent that you have to have, but he combines all of that, and he still has the speed to get out when he's pulling and take guys out downfield. We still see it on big runs, if Jalen's taking off or whatever the case may be. There's just so many things that Kelsey can do that he provides you with. And it's crazy that he and Lane are still playing at this level at this age, but they both are. So I would go Kelsey at 2.
Yeah, my number 2 is Lane Johnson. I think he is the best offensive lineman in the National Football League. you can automatically tell when he's not in there. When they had to put Jack Driscoll in there, and that's not a knock against Jack Driscoll, but that offensive line was disjointed somewhat when Lane Johnson's not in there.
Mm-hmm.
And as Lane showed us in the latter part of last year, an 85% Lane Johnson is still better than any right tackle in the National Football League. You know, he's dedicated to the cause, and how soon we forget that Lane is not only focused week in and week out in terms of battling the best edge rushers coming at him each week, but he also goes through the emotional struggles of dealing with depression and anxiety. You just don't get rid of those things.
Right.
And it's and Lane will tell you, it's an everyday struggle. There are things you can do to overcome them and to control them, but it's always there and could explode at any given moment. And when you're playing in a highly critical, highly emotional game like professional football,
right,
that's a lot to encounter. You think about people who have problems dealing with depression and anxiety just in everyday life. And here's a guy who's out there every day. He has to be the best of the best, or else he knows he's not going to have a job. And we're just really learning about Lane Johnson and what he went through or is going through in terms of dealing with the emotional elements of his life. But Lane Johnson is a workaholic. The barn that he has is legendary. He converted a garage into a weight room workout facility. That thing is legendary. Brian Baldinger is always in there working out.
Jalen Hurts was out there.
In there working out.
Yeah.
It is his passion. It's his outlet. Not only is football his profession, it's his outlet. And it's kind of like his pacifier also. Yeah. And he takes it serious. The fact that he hasn't, all you need to know about this man hasn't given up a sack in over 2 years.
Crazy.
That's all you need to know.
Crazy.
About his dedication to his profession. Mm-hmm. Even while he goes through these emotional struggles, he still steps on the field at the highest level of his position. And so that's why I say Lane Johnson said he wanted to play at least 2 to 3 more years. I believe he will play at a high level for the next 2 to 3 years, and he will get in the Hall of Fame. Now, like you said, him missing some games because of the emotional elements and disappearing may hurt him, but you will not keep Lane Johnson out of the Hall of Fame when his time comes.
I'm with you, man. I'm tooting his horn every second of the way. That's for sure. Now, we talked about it earlier. So if you're just hopping on, you're saying, well, where's Jalen Hurts? Jalen Hurts is number 1 on both of our lists. It goes without question, without saying. So that's where we're at. So, all right, Gunnar, recount yours. Go from 10 to 1.
All right.
And
so
then
I'll go from my number 10 was Darius Slay.
Yep.
Number 9, Dallas Goedert. Number 8, Devonta Smith. Number 7 is pass catching mate A.J. Brown. Number 6, James Bradbury. Number 5, Jason Kelsey. Number 4, Hassan Reddick. Number 3 is Jordan Mailata. Number 2, Lane Johnson. And, of course, number 1, Jalen Hurts.
Like it. Okay. I'll go, and by my own admission, I whiffed on Goddard, so that should be on my list. But I went Sweat, Cox, Bradbury, Slay, Brown, Mailata, Reddick, Lane, Kelsey, Hurts. That's my order right there. So
the one I really struggled with that I didn't put on my list was Avonte Maddox. I think Avonte Maddox, when healthy, is one of the best slot corners in the game.
Yeah.
And I think when he's out, as we saw last season, the slot corner play is just not the same. Now, you can say, we don't know what they're going to do with Greedy Williams. Now, Greedy Williams has the capability of playing the slot. I don't know if it's a natural position for him just yet. And so there could be drop-off if Avonte gets injured again, which I expect him to get to because he plays the game so recklessly, with such reckless abandon. He hurts himself in the process. So I expect Avonte Maddox to miss a few games here or there. But I think as we know it right now, you can see the huge drop-off from Avonte Maddox to whoever the next guy is for the Eagles in that slot corner position.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you there. All right, good stuff there. That was good list there. Well, let's do this. We'll do a little hybrid when we come back. We'll do a combo Philly Sixers, and then at 2:00 we'll do our usual NFL stuff. We got a lot of newsy news kind of stuff, and then we're going to dig into we're going to do our draft. Derek and I will, our skill position players on the defensive side of the ball, current, present day, by the way, not all time, present day.
Right.
So we'll do that when we come back. All those things when we come back. Don't go anywhere. He's Derek Gunn. I am Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. All right, time to tell you about my friends at Pro Action Restoration. Yeah, Pro Action Restoration. Actually, talked to a friend of mine this weekend who had a problem with some flooding in their basement. Turned them on to Pro Action Restoration, and the rest is history. They were taken care of and then some, and they were thrilled. I got a text back saying how happy they were. But Pro Action Restoration, if you have a home, you have a business, you have a property, and you go through the pain and inconvenience of water, fire, smoke, mold damage, it can be tough. You don't know what to do. You don't know who to turn to. Well, Pro Action Restoration, that's the place that you turn to because they're on call 24 hours, 7 days a week to assist. I've gone through it myself. I had a problem years ago at my parents' house, and Pro Action Restoration came out on a Saturday. They took care of the issue. They cleaned up everything. The price was right. The crew was unbelievable. They are licensed, bonded, and fully insured. Pro Action Restoration has been serving the tri-state area for more than 2 decades, and they will work in conjunction with your insurance company. Again, it could be water, fire, smoke, mold damage, you name it. They can handle it. Give them a call, 610-623-3760, 610-623-3760, or you can reach out to them online at